Us. Welcome back to the Kyokushin Shuffle. I hope everyone's well. Thanks for joining me here for today's topic, and wanted to share more insight and different angle perspective on tournament preparation. So tournament / full contact karate, Kyokushin rules, and when preparing for a tournament, and just open the discussions, and if you get something out of it, fantastic, and understanding more detail, some specifics behind it, that's great. And these type of chats these vlogs as such, are purposely topical to give the viewers, listenership, something to reference off, listen in, and get another perspective. So enjoy. So tournament fighting, where do we start? I'll break it down into beginner, intermediate, advanced, and how I've seen it, and how I went through the ranks. I was very lucky to go through that full system as such, from beginner, raw, I hadn't done any other martial art, age of 19, 20, walking into Shihan Bill's dojo, and within 3 months I was busting and pushing Shihan to get me into some form of competition. And the Vic titles was one, but to share the timeline, 3 months on someone that's just started brand new is a tough ask, to be thrown into full contact karate, and the tough ask meaning lots to do, lots to condition the body towards, and with that, yes, a bit of ego and a bit of attitude from my end. Shouldn't have pushed my master, or Shihan, into getting me in, but there was a mutual understanding of the training and the I guess requirements of what I had to do, and if I got close to those requirements, meaning 4 sessions a week, 5 sessions a week, if not more, with Shihan and the team, then we were getting closer to a potential opportunity to fight in a Victorian, in a state or tournament. So not a national, just a state one. So from a timeline angle, if you're a beginner white belt, I'll start on the rawness of you having no martial arts or karate specific training. It's very hard. It's very hard to comprehend what you're seeing, and how you may compare respectfully yourself to seeing a black belt, and the work and the time and the amount of work you have to obviously do is nearly 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus years, depending on who you're comparing yourself to. So there is a balance there between your coach and teacher that has to be honest up front, right from the start. I was that. I walked into the dojo. I wanted to compete. I wanted to be a part of this environment of full contact karate early, quick. There was no convincing. There was no justifying. There was no, I might have a look into this. We've all got similar maybe students or feelings of, let me see where this goes, or I might try. Mine was totally different. And I carry that forward even with my teaching now with whoever is a beginner, in just acknowledging that there are pathways, there are levels, there are tiers, and then having to see what language they give me back, what body language they give me back. Are they aware? Have they ever seen anything like this before? Or are they just watching an amazing bout from, the forefather, the top guns of Kyokushin, and they think that's realistic at 3 to 6 or even less than 5 years. It just isn't. So we have to break that straight away. You have to get that into their head and into your own head if you're a teacher, and into your own head if you're walking into a dojo. So a beginner level has that process to mentally get themselves accustomed to what might be in front of them. Many dojos go through the difference of age, and then the difference of weight, and then in Kyokushin Karate we don't have a 10 different weight category. There's 3 weight categories: lightweight, middleweight, heavy. In these types of lead in tournaments, lead in again as a state tournament or a regional tournament. So once we're starting to grasp, are you in this weight category? Are you in the age category as well? In a quick example, a 18-year-old that's completing year 12, or he or she may not have the time and energy and commitment and sacrifice as much as the 25-year-old. And then the 25-year-old, he's willing to put everything in, but he's not following the right process off the mat as well. So heaps and heaps of little things that need to be dissected and need to be looked into way before the beginner starts to comprehend the task at hand, because we move into the decisions being made, and now the timeline of your teacher or the dojo. Some dojos, the one I was fortunate to come through on Xi'anbili, we had a stack card. There were some fantastic fighters via Xi'an, and my senpais that had competed, they understood the way of training, the way that had to be done, and they set a fantastic example and led that pathway for someone like me to see and to be educated on. Other dojos may not have that luxury, but have an experienced coach or an experienced teacher that previously fought. And so, different pathways lead to different results or different timelines. So that's the next one. Once the decision's been made by the beginner, start to understand the time frame. Give yourself, a solid time frame. No rush. It's a nice journey. Again, if we're talking age, you have to appreciate where they might be over the term of their age. I know in my dojo, for example, anyone above 45 years of age that isn't super fit, super strong, committed to 3 to 4 trainings a week over a 3 to 6 month period is going to find it very difficult for me to accept and allow them to compete at the level that we would like them to compete. So that timeline is very important. Feel free to ask questions on any of the beginner angle, because the mindset, timeline, and then the actual training for it, which I was saying, the 3 to 4 times a week, plus the off the dojo, off the mat training. That's such a tough part of understanding how far you can push yourself, and then noticing how the body's adjusting and taking, are you going to be dropping weight? Are you going to be putting on more weight? Are you putting more muscle on? Are you a lightweight fighter that's hesitant to go into the middleweight? And it's all these questions again that come into the training plan, and within that timeline it can be anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks. So you're not preparing, I feel, the decision of where your weight stands as a lightweight fighter 1 week out from the competition, like when we see UFC, obviously the mainstream combat sports competitions. We are always accustomed to seeing them drop weight the week before the fight because they know what the division is that they're in. So, that it has a very, very big outcome in understanding the preparation, the timeline. But to share from our angle, we make the call. Again, are you in? Great. Mental headspace, ready to go. Time frame looks like it could be 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks for some. Again, if it's a beginner, the more the better. And then we've got to prepare the schedule ahead. Are you capable of attending 2 classes, 3 classes? What can you do outside of the dojo as well? Is it starting to sum up? So an 8 week process, a 2 month process leading into a tournament is a good starting point for a beginner, I feel, because there's no rush. There's a nice gradual build. There's consistency coming from it as well. The body is starting to understand, okay, what are we doing here? It's not a 2 week quick hit. It's a nice controlled journey towards, attaining and ticking boxes and making sure that the he or she is understanding and feeling their body out well, being able to come back to training after a hard session. Are the sessions up and down and then peaking at certain times? Yes, and that's where the 8 weeks allows for that. So 8 to 6 is a cardio build here with us. We just get fit, get strong, use a lot of kick shields, a lot of big mitt work, and build up the cardio. Fitness is integral in a 2-minute beginner bout /3, depending on the tournament, and then of course if it's an extension. So if we're preparing this cardio block, we don't deep dive straight into a 2-minute or 3-minute circuit sets. We build up from 1 minute to 1.5 minute slowly over the 2 weeks, in just again building up to that 2-minute set. The part that we've put a lot of emphasis on is the fitness, stamina, and conditioning in that 2 weeks, because then it's going to help them over the next following 6 weeks, which are going to be building up and getting harder. Without that fitness base, you're starting to catch up, or you're going to need to figure out why that. I point to my calf or a hamstring or something that has twinged or doesn't feel right. So your fitness base is crucial. Can it go from a 3-week cardio base? Absolutely. Again, depending on the extra sets you're doing, but it's not about wearing you out. There's not going to be sessions in that 2 to 3 week of an 8-week program to 100%. There will rarely be 100% sessions back to back, or if there is, it'll reach maybe a maximum of 90% intensity to get to that breakthrough, as Shian used to say, to that breakthrough of your sweat and your own insides going, oh, what was all that about, So we get to the fitness part, and then we're starting to develop, and while you're doing bag sets and kicking and moving and punching, slowly the footwork starts to build confidence as well. So you're into your 5th or 4th week now, you're a month out, your cardio's nice, you've trained consistently for that 3 weeks, 2 to 3 week block. So now we're starting to add in more contact, and in beginner level, you're going to be shin pads and gloves. So that falls in a controlled sparring sessions. Again, building that now up to about 2 minutes, because your cardio is capable of it. You've felt it for those last couple of weeks, so it's starting to nicely sit at a good point. Some are not feeling confident, so you just got to push slowly. Don't go too far and break through too much over those 2 minutes, I feel, just yet, because we're working towards it. We've got a bit of time up our sleeve. So the rounds start to kick in, which is great, and then you start to evaluate. The hands are down, the legs aren't strong enough, the arms aren't consistent. What exactly is going on? With the beginners, when I fought as a beginner, it was in Kyokushin, it's on, as they say. It's just proper on. The adrenaline, the rush dump of just going for it, survival. The tactical side is very, from speaking obviously from my end, it was more survival than tactics of where I'm at or what to do and how to do it. It was following the process that Shian gave me and building that stamina and conditioning to continue to get through the 2 minutes without getting hurt and without getting knocked out. So where does that combination set sit for a beginner? Well, you've got to work with that with your teacher. We work with it here. We don't go into too many. You don't want to, you're not experienced enough as yet to build up all offensive moves. A lot of it is defensive moves from our end to control yourself, control the fight, survival instincts. Your cardio, your energy bar, we call it. You don't want the energy bar in the first 30 seconds to go shoop, gone, like that Nintendo game. We want to balance it, control it, and then know when to throw those gears into when they need to deliver the blow, or the last 20 seconds traditionally in Kyokushin is a absolute rush to see if it's a draw or someone can get over the line. So you're into that form of training, Big Mick, kick shield, and sparring. So we're 1 month out. So now we have to determine how your body is starting to customize itself with what we've just thrown at you for a month. And the questions start to come. I might be, the fighter might be feeling flat, heavy, lethargic, mentally foggy, because the training has been intense. It's been a good 1 month, and traditionally for some beginners, they may have never even done something of this capacity. So there's a lot of management, communication, talking, having your experienced senpais in your dojo sharing their feedback as well, and how are they going in the sparring with that beginner, and all the positive reinforcements have to be shared, but also the negative feedback of what might be a problem or might be something. So once we've grasped that, we've got 2 weeks to fine tune that more and lift the intensity. So now we combine cardio, fitness, sparring, and starting to build on where the strengths are. What exactly are the strengths? So you're an offensive fighter, you're more a defensive fighter, you're fading out in the last 30, or your first 30 just went too far, too hard. So we're starting to strategize those basic components, but again, from our end, we want the beginner to obviously be good enough or be prepared enough for the win, because in Kyokushin rules, you're into the second round. If you lose, you're out, and we'll get to that if you do lose, what to do there. But for the beginner, you're into the next round. So we need to, all that are listening, that are thinking of beginning Kyokushin, and this is why I wanted to bring this topic up straight off the bat, is because a lot of our dojos get the rush of that energetic male or female that sees a tournament or loves what they've seen somewhere, and hey, how do I get into this? So you're down to that 2 weeks out, you're putting everything together, but if again on a scale going up, we haven't hit the top yet. We have physically, mentally, spiritually trying to balance it all and yin yang everything together is very difficult. Then you've got to be aware of the beginners and yourself as the beginner. If you're listening, your nutrition. How is the nutrition helping your body recover? How are you starting to feel confident within yourself now? Are you questioning too much? Are you not, is the sensei or the shian giving you too much and you're starting to hit a wall, wear out, and we're only 2 weeks out? So we've got to be careful of that load and that time frame again, and communicate period of that 2 weeks out. And we would, Shian would always say the niggles are going to be there. And now we have to be mentally ready. Like, are they too heavy? Was it too much load that we did in your sparring leading into that 2 weeks out? And we start to see how you're going, and the test lifts now. So we isolate it. We isolate your sparring now. We isolate the scenario in our dojo. We emulate and visualize the tournament, the bout, the bowing on. And as a beginner, we've all been to those tournaments, haven't we, guys, where, the beginners have to bow to the front, bow to each other, shamanare, shishinare, or taginare, and they bow, but it's just another world for them. They've never been on the mat before. They've got partners and wives and family and friends, and it's such an overwhelming thing. So they forget to bow, and the etiquette side of it is kind of like out the window. So visualizing it, emulating it, 2 weeks out starts to build, even beforehand, if the beginner is capable or you're ready for that. Sometimes you do that 1 month out as well, when you're preparing the sparring, so they start to familiarize themselves with it. And the more the better, obviously, because then your comfort level starts to go, I know I've seen this before, I've been here before. So we're 2 weeks out. All right, so we where are we on the graph? Of course, every time I have the whiteboard here, now I don't have it, but it would be ideal for these chats, apologies, but we're slowly getting to the top of our training schedule of this 8 week, for example, and we have to manage. Now we're probably 1 week out from tournament, fine tuning, sharpening up, keeping the cardio up, less contact rounds, but a little bit more extra rounds to push, and maintain that cardio, that fitness, the mental game. Are you pushing through well over those 2 minutes? Have we had an ikiwaki moment? Have we practiced that? Have we given the beginner that visualization of, oh my God, my heart rate is through the roof, I'm stopping. One of the shians comes over, fixes their gis. We visualize some of those things. I feel it's paramount to, and I'm sure many dojos do that, and that's a cool part of the beginner level, that the referee has experience and is also looking out for both fighters, in a beginner level, because it's very, very overwhelming for some. So 1 week out, taking care of everything, aligning everything as best you can. Training is obviously, you're on now. You're consistently doing absolutely everything on point as best you can. No stones unturned, following everything, asking, questions that are more towards maybe your inexperience, which is good. The day of the tournament, the day of, the week of, what do I do? How do I do it? Should I? Yeah, great questions. Ask questions. Ask me questions on this angle as well. If, again, with respect to your teachers, ask them first. But if you need a different perspective, no problem. I'm happy to share. And that's, again, the love of what I'm trying to do here. So we're nearly there. We're 1 week out, and then the taper off conversation comes in. Taper off, slow things down, but be fresh. Everything has to start to become fresh. You have just nearly hit the tip. You're just there. You should be fresh throughout that final week. Not as intense as obviously nowhere near as intense as your 6 to 8 weeks prior. Starts to be controlled. Heart rate's slowing down a bit more day to day. You're fit, you're strong, you're confident, you're mentally starting to get the butterflies up and down, where you're doubting yourself. You're in a world of like, shit. Family and friends are starting to go, hey man, is this, he or she, is this happening? Are you doing this? Absolutely. What is your answer back? Yep, got to come see this. I'm going for it. I've put everything into it. Who are you fighting? What's happening? These questions start to bombard you. And in Kyokushin, we don't know who our opponent is. One of the beauties, I feel, of our full contact karate tournaments is we don't know who, we have an idea, but in the advance, but in beginner, we don't know. We don't know who's maybe attending, who's fit, who's not, who didn't get injured, which dojos are coming. I think that's unreal. The whole focus has been on you and only you, and we've figured out your strengths and we're working you towards your, ultimate achievement of getting on the mat for the first time, or, however many times as a beginner, and improving from them. But we don't know who it is. We don't have that boxing, UFC, MMA, Muay Thai opponent that we know their weight, their skills, their video footage, how many bouts they've had, their ups, their downs, their positives. We don't know really any of that. So how are we scouting that? No, we have to just go in, and it's such a tough task. And I feel we haven't spoken about it enough, or I haven't seen it enough outside of the inner sanctum. And I think we have to share that and appreciate that a lot more, of the difficulty of what our art has in that space, and the difficulty meaning the beauty of it, the beauty of the challenge. Standing opposite someone one-on-one and not even knowing who they are, where they're from, or what they do. I think that's a beautiful thing, because your character building is, you cannot, and I say it in the dojo here, you cannot buy that anywhere. You cannot go in a Rebel and buy what's about to happen. So it just develops you immensely. It changes your whole perspective of what is happening. It's a controlled environment, blessed. Referees trying to control both of you. So there's a lot of positives that come out of not knowing. Try not to go too deep into the negatives of it, and it's a balancing act indeed, absolutely. So we prepare not to just win one fight, two fight. There in beginners can be a division of 8 to 12, 16, at any given time. Again, over 3 weight divisions. So you're a middleweight. I was a middleweight fighter. Most of my beginner fights had maybe 8, or 10 or 12, anywhere around there. Pretty cool number for a state level. And away you go in regards to, hey, we're ready now. What can you do? Not much. Don't worry about what you haven't been able to do. Start worrying about, the day, how to get ready. What are you going to eat? What are you going to be doing? What are you going to be wearing? Preparing absolutely military. Not leaving anything, again, on the table of guessing. Starting a process within yourself. Ask questions to your kohai. What the hell did you guys do? What did you do? Away from the mat even, just to calm things down. Doesn't have to always be in the dojo. Asking for a coffee, Facebook them, message them, and your shians are obviously have, and your senseis have, immense trust in what you've delivered for them. And that is the biggest, and another beautiful part of the beginner coming through the ranks, leading into a tournament, because they've given everything to their teacher. And that's such a great starting point, for the teacher to respectfully know that what their challenge is, and it being a two-way street. You've given your time and energy, they've given you their time and energy, and the team has. We're slowly there. We're nearly on to the day, and then when the day comes, butterflies like you wouldn't believe. And and Shian would say to us, if you don't have butterflies, there's something wrong with you. Right? As a beginner, definitely. When it gets to advanced, the control of those butterflies are a lot more, and we'll get to that when I talk about advanced. So there is a take, on what's happening. Now when you get to the venue, to the day, like I share with my team and my fighters, stick together, stay together, watch some other bouts to get the adrenaline dump maybe before the bout, or see where things are at, check the environment, understand. So there's heaps and heaps and heaps of things that your teacher, or that you should start to embrace. Bring it. It can't just be, that tunnel blinker vision. Some fighters are like that and just go to a corner. My training partner was like that, Dane. He would just straight V-line to a corner and just sit and control. But he was, when I started, he was an advanced fighter, and there's tips and tricks, and as a beginner, start to see some of the intermediates, start to see some of the advanced competitors. The males and females all have different, feelings and emotions, and some are letting it out, and some are just controlled. You've got to embrace it. You're a massive sponge. What an 8 weeks it's been to get to this point. Be proud. I think that's another thing. This win or loss situation as a beginner is so heavy, and yes, you of course want to win, and you want to, make everyone proud and happy of your commitment, but internally within yourself, you have to, as Shian, and I reference my Shian a lot, but Shian Billy would say, on the day, before we've even fought, you have won. You've won. You've won. To get to this point and to get to the mat, right? Whether, again, in a timeline of a 3-month beginner, 6-month, 9-month, 12-month, from a white belt to a blue belt level, whatever the time frame is, you have won. You have to understand what you've just done. Again, I'm talking it like this because I feel this message has to go out to more beginners to encourage them a little bit more. Again, and finding that balance is not easy, and letting them know now, whether it's me as a dojo or asking me where you live, and we'll help you, to where you need to go to, and reference a dojo near your area if you're watching this. So you see what's going on. You see why I needed to chat. There's nearly half an hour there of just why I wanted to let that go. So beginners, good luck. Find that balance. Understand the timeline. Mentally, to begin with, are you in or are you out? Watch my 2 feet in video that gives you that, I guess, motivation to understand 2 feet in or not. Understand the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Find that timeline. How does it suit? does it or doesn't. That's another hard, difficult one in beginning. Weddings, parties, engagements, commitments, and then having to, make sure you are ready for that. Going through the whole thing, the whole timeline, balancing it, not getting hurt, not getting injured, knowing if the scale, if the level is going up, not just dipping too low. You've got to find that nice curve to get you to the peak. And then when you're slowly 2 weeks out or so, is that peak, have you already, sometimes it's, oh shit, I think I might have. Ask questions, work with each other, help each other out, and then be ready, and then the day happens for one match tournament. Again, in understanding, is it the preparations of cardio fitness, were they for a 2 or 3 fight opportunity or a 1 match opportunity? That's up to your coaches and to you as well. Hope that is pretty cool, and I hope that gave you some insight, because since the last week I had 4 students, a couple of mine, but some others from other academies, dojos, just saying what program I had. It's not so much a program, it was just a chat like this to share what we do here at the academy. And I hope for senseis and chians and senpais that are watching may have got something out of it. Don't hesitate to ask questions as well. Here to help, here to encourage more Kyokushin fighters in this space of the beginner, intermediate and advanced. I'll get to intermediate next. So to the beginners out there, all the best, and I'll share a little bit more down the track for more of the beginners in understanding a little bit more of tournament work and process. Big ups to you all, take care, have a great day. Us.